Happy Halloween, everybody! It is Monday the 29th of October 2018, which is as close to Halloween as I'm getting, considering that I release these on Mondays. Halloween is on this Wednesday. I'm Dakian. I'm here to ramble about my miniature painting, and this week I've finished, actually, my two Halloween-themed minis from Reaper. We have the Halloween Night. You know, Night K-N-I-G-H-T, but it's also a pun on Night with just an N. He's a pumpkin-headed guy. The cloak, a lot of armor. And then we have All Hallows Eve, which, you know, the name Eve is a female name, so it's a woman. But All Hallows Eve, as in evening, is actually this, well, it's next weekend. It's not the same as Halloween. All Hallows Eve is actually always on, is it a Friday or a Saturday? I forget. Probably it's a Saturday. I'll look it up. Anyway, so the only thing I'm not crazed about is I'm not sure the glow from the lantern looks good. I used fluorescent paint to try to make that shine a bit more, and also these orange flowers are falling off a little bit, but otherwise I'm pretty pleased. I might not be when I see the video back in close-up, but well, that's the risk you take. I also finished a couple of sort of Halloween themed minis in that they are spooky. We have the Skeleton King on his steed, which I painted, compared to the website picture, I painted in much more faded colors. They had very rich blues and reds, and I went with the idea that he hasn't changed his clothes in a long time, and because they're so tattered, they should not have their original color left. They should be worn and faded. And the horse, of course. A lot of unnecessary detail on that, like for instance sculpting the legs inside the comparison there. Nobody's going to see that, but I did paint them bone instead of the cloth color, just a little bit so it stands out. You can see the leg back there. Yeah. And we have another Skeleton King on a throne with bearers. Now there is so much metallic here. Hopefully you can see what's what despite that. And again, I went with dark. I dulled down the metallics quite a lot. Again, on the website it's very shiny, but I decided to go with a faded, like old metal look. Again, he's probably not been taking care of his stuff too well. And yeah, not a bad batch of finished minis for this week, I think. Let's take a look at the work table. And here we can see the new stuff I've prepped, apart from the chariot. I'm going to show you the chariot separately in a little while. This is a kobold. This is one of the new metal kobolds from Reaper. This is the other guy, also a kobold, also white metal. Simply primed, and I've darkened the base coated the base. And here we have a assembled and primed and based Manticore, a Reaper Bones. It's a sort of two-tone priming job, using a dark sort of reddish brown first, and then spraying a tan color just from a high angle to get a sort of pre-shaded look to it. And yeah, not much else to say about those. So I'm going to show you the stats, and then I will go through the build process a little bit of the chariot. I'll show you, I think, 3 segments. In the first one is several days ago, and the other one, next one is a couple of days ago, and the final one is today, where we at. But you'll see what I mean. I am somewhat further along. Perhaps I should show you what I've done is I decided to paint all 4 of these skeleton dudes separately because, as you can see, they're a tight group of 4, and what we have here is we have this platform for them to stand on. Now, the illustration on the website has 3 of the minis on the chariot, specifically these 3. We have the actual sort of driver of the chariot with whipping the horses along. Why whipping would work on skeleton horses, I don't know. Just force of habit, I guess. This is the actual leader figure, and here's the standard bearer. However, I think this figure, the helmet bearer, you know, is more important to have close to the leader. And I'm actually thinking, because I don't think all 4 will fit, but considering the 3 fit in the picture, I should be able to get 3 of them on. If I use something like this base, now I haven't fully explored if this is big enough yet, but if we put the horses on here and we have the chariot, something like that, there's sort of space here or here, and I can place the standard bearer like walking beside the chariot, because this is the one that's going to take up the most room, because it's so tall and wide. So I think that's possibly a workable option. Yeah, I have to say something about the quality of the casting here. I've painted figures from Warmonger before, and they've not been a problem, but skeletons, yeah. Like these horses, while I was cleaning them, bits came off, like the legs. If you can tell here, it broke, and I had to glue it back on, and it broke here, and it had to be re-glued. And there's a lot of these little fiddly bits. And the standard bearer was, let's see if you can see it. You see her spine? I say her because there's boob plates on the skeleton and long hair that's somehow remained intact. So I'm going to say this is the skeleton of a female. And typically enough, her waist was so thin it broke, or rather, in the casting, a bit of her spine was missing. So she was not tall enough. And even now, when I've added with putty a bit of spine here, and I couldn't make it, you know, this shaft is a bit crooked. To pull it straight, she would have needed to have an extremely long spine. It simply would have looked really, really odd, and I decided that it looks less odd if the standard shaft is a little bit crooked. I mean, hey, they're undead. The wood might have become warped. We'll say that's what's going on. So I'm probably going to paint this in a few assemblies. Like every skeleton is separate. I think I will have to measure where they need to stand and glue the horses onto the base, and then texture the base, and then paint that as one assembly. And I am going to put on these pieces. So put the floor on there and the wheels, and have this chariot itself as one assembly part that I will paint separately before putting it all together. And this is so when the crew are done, I will be able to drill into this to pin them before I attach it to the base, because if it's standing on the base, and you know, it's going to be a messy process. The fit here is not amazing, See, it doesn't really go any further in there. The gap there is not very large, but there's more of a gap back here. It's not really flush with a back edge. That's a little bit annoying. See, what's stopping it is here. The axle is... So I'm going to file down the axles some more, and hopefully that means I can slide this in a bit further for finishing it off. So yeah, still some work to do. Another funny detail about the fit of this, now that I've pushed this in as far as it will go, and it's still not flush with a back edge. Oh well. But what I've discovered here about the wheels is that if normally you'd think that because there's a stop there that you would want to push the wheel in as far as it would go, but if that's to secure it, but if you do that, it becomes crooked. It becomes, because it stops here, so the angle is wrong. So you have to, I'm going to have to glue it to hold it at the very outermost point here. There you can see it's kind of straight. And the same thing on the other side. If I push it all the way in, it's going to be lopsided. I have to keep it on the outer edge of this axle, and it will look kind of straight. So that's going to be fiddly. Fun. And this is where we're actually at on Monday. This is as far as I'm getting. I could have easily primed this chair before showing it to you, but that you wouldn't have been able to see it that clearly as clearly then. Because I'm probably going to prime this very dark. As you can see, even though I fit the floor in as well as I could here, it's still not flush. And there's a gap here as well. Hopefully once figures are on it, nobody's going to notice or care. I put on the wheels as well as I could. I have actually gone ahead and primed the figures in a sort of, yeah, appreciated layer. Here's the other two. Not much to see, but it's done. And so I'm not going to show you, but this will fit on here. I tested it. The base is not quite dry yet. I decided to go with multiple textures. I did decide not just to have a single texture, because on a big base like that, that could be a little bit boring. So I did partially some textured green stuff with one of the rolling pins. It was this thing from Green Stuff World. It's a Dark Runes. I thought maybe they're riding across some ruins of an old Templar or something, and then there's a bit of stone floor here with these carvings in it, but it's overgrown, so the dirt has come in, and I'll put some grass and stuff on it as well afterwards. I think that might look cool. I'm very carefully handling this because it isn't quite dry yet. Another thing I noticed, I complained about the casting, but here's the thing. This leg on this skeleton horse, it broke again, just poking at it a little bit. It was glued on and the glue came off. And it broke in two places. When I tried to bend it into shape, it broke again. So the issue perhaps isn't so much the casting as in the quality of the metal. It's too brittle. And this is probably because modern alloys are not as good as the old ones. And what do I mean by that? Well, let me show you briefly the box from this project that I haven't quite managed to get started yet. I don't know if you can see, but it says here, Each model is hand cast. That's interesting. I'm not sure that's true. They probably had machines. Anyway, in a traditional lead alloy to ensure the clarity of fine detail demanded by collectors. Right, so a miniature like this one, it has a rifle barrel, and I can bend that. And I can bend it back into shape very easily. And it means it won't break if it's dropped, and if it gets bent in shipping. Now this was in a padded box, so it was safe from that. But I can bend it back. Modern alloys are just tin. There's not enough lead in it because of the big scare about lead. Like somebody would get lead in them. Christ, you cover it up with paint. You're not going to get any lead in you. Oh well, I'm afraid that ship has sailed. Anyway, what I need to tell you before I leave, I'm not going to show you there's no new arrivals, and I'm not going to start any new projects this week, but there will not be an episode next Monday because I am going to be traveling and away for almost 2 weeks, and that means I will get back in time for putting up an episode on Monday the 12th in 2 weeks, but not the 5th. The 5th will be without a ramble. Sorry about that, but it was unavoidable. On the 12th, I will show you what I've accomplished in the few days of painting there will be in the coming 2 weeks. It's not even going to be a full week of painting, so don't expect super quick progress, but at least maybe some progress, I hope, will have been made. Yeah, so once more, no episode next week. There will be 14 days until the next episode. Hopefully you'll survive. And yeah, in the meantime, just rewatch this video a few times, click like a few extra times, maybe. Sorry you can't do that, but you know, just click like at least once, and subscribe if you haven't done so, and share it, and you know, comment. And I will be back in 2 weeks. Till then, I'm Dakian, and I'm signing.